With an update on WWE and AEW programs, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on and don't forget to like the video. Mentioning why the series Young Rock was cancelled, Harvey Whippleman told Sportskeeda the reason it ended wasn't because of ratings, it wasn't because of any issues, it was because the Hollywood writers and actors all went on strike. So that show ended. Everything went to dance shows, singing shows, reality shows. Revealing how she spent her 3-week break from WWE, Bayley posted these videos to Instagram.
We're back again. Oh no! Fire! Ooh, I already beat you. That's my aunt. Ain't no you lady. Hey, hey, go talk to Laura. Hey, Laura. Oh, God. I got her his hat.
Asked about having a career in WWE again, NBA star Dwight Howard told TMZ Sports, "Yeah, but you know what? You're big." I was talking to Rick. What's up, boss? What's going on? How you doing? I was talking to Ric Flair. He said he doesn't know if my knees are good for, really good for wrestling. That's a lot of, and it's a lot of moving. Well, you know, I could, but I'd rather be with my kids, man. I've been playing for 20 years. It's time for my kids, man. Oh, my knees feel good. It's just wrestling. Talk about picking up 300 pounds and all that stuff. Nobody wants to do that for their whole life. Talking about making a return to WWE to be a manager, Kurt Angle said this to KNS WrestleFest. "If the money was right, I would come back to manage a faction. The spot matters too. Yeah, definitely. I think Chad Gable and his gang that he has right now, that would be a great idea. I wouldn't mind doing a spot here and there, but if you're going to ask me to do a wrestling match, it's just not going to happen. Yeah, I could take some bumps." At the MLW Fightland event, JBL made an appearance at the show during the match between the Andersons and Bome Fight Club. With reports that WWE is looking to use more mainstream artists for their music, this could see Def Rebel not have their contract with the company renewed. Mikey Ruckus, who makes music for AEW, said this on X: "AEW is my home. I am very happy here and wish to remain here until I retire." I guess I shouldn't be surprised by some of the weirdness in the replies. Allow me to elaborate before I call it a night, because as per usual, some folks' endless desire to try and connect the dots on some dirt sheet you've read throughout the course of the day causes you to abandon logic. Today, I spent the day working on new music. In between spending time with my grandson, who is 18 months old, one of 8, this week I've been reinvigorated with new inspiration. This has been a good week creatively. On the same side, it's been an emotional one because of some personal things that have taken place. When I tell you I came from nothing, it's exactly what I mean. I had my first child when I was 19. I had 6 by the time I was 26. I can remember days of loading trash bags full of clothes and riding my 10-speed to the laundromat to wash and fold clothes and read my Bible. I had hopes and dreams of doing something more with my life rather than just being a grocery store stocker manager. At one point in my life, I was stocking grocery shelves at a Kroger at 4 a.m., leaving there at 10 to go stock shelves at a Family Dollar until 3, then running 3 paper routes in the afternoon. I remember after everyone would go to sleep at night, I would go and sit in my car and just cry. I felt like a complete failure and a father and a provider, and that feeling would stay with me for years while I pressed on. I finally got into management positions where I would continue for 20 years, but I built up my music stuff on the side because I still wasn't making enough to survive. In 2019, when I joined AEW, I was able to walk away from all of that cleanly. I was terrified because retail was literally all I knew aside from freelancing music. We are coming up on 5 years of Dynamite, and I can still remember the moment we went live for the first time. So yes, I've been in my feels this week, and instead of just dropping the "I love my job" tweet, I went a little further. Yes, AEW is my home, and I wish to be here until I retire. I realize that's not the cool thing to say for whatever reasons you might think. I realize everyone's experience is different, but for me, I love watching my coworkers get some shine. I love that they can inspire me and that I can provide music context for them. It wasn't until about an hour ago that I saw something about WWE and Def Rebel being the topic of the day. Same thing happened a few weeks ago on some gift tweets, so I realize now that it's partly my fault for being vague. I'll say this: shout out to Def Rebel. None of you know what this gig entails. To be able to do this week to week when live TV is at hand is not what you think it is. All of your theories are wrong. This is not a gig where you get 8 months to write and record 8 to 10 songs to drop an album. You have to be on all the time, every day. But that's a different convo for a different day. My last word: this is all love. Your insults and negativity will not change my views, and if I saw any of you in real life, I'd still shake your hand. There is no there from me, so please stop trying to make it that. I'm simply showing solidarity to a team that took a chance on me. There has been ups and downs, of course, but I'm here and I'm always ready to work. Enjoy your time while you're here. Enjoy the feeling, enjoy the moments, enjoy wrestling. With Shane McMahon and AEW president Tony Khan having a meeting at an airport back in July, longtime friend of Shane and former WWE star Pete Gas said this about McMahon potentially joining AEW, telling ad-free shows, "Never say never. That's the only thing I can say. I don't know." The history behind Shane and everyone: Shane loves to kayfabe. Shane is not going to let anything out that he doesn't want out. It's funny because they teased that whole thing with him meeting with Khan. It piques people's interest. You never say never with Shane. He lives for that moment. The whole thing when he came back to WWE, everything is kayfabe with him. It's always been kayfabe. That's how he lives. You never say never. Asked about former WWE star Bobby Lashley joining AEW and if it would be a big move, Rene Dupree noted on his Cafe de Rene podcast, potentially. Would it make a difference? Absolutely not. Who's he gonna work with? Like, who's he physically? Look at their roster. Yeah, who does it make sense to put him in there with, dude? mentioning that he would come out of retirement to have another tag team match with Kane against Triple H and Shawn Michaels. The Undertaker said on his 6 Feet Under podcast, "You would think all the experience that was involved in that match that we could have done that in our sleep. That may be the only match if we did it again that I would come out of retirement for, just to see if we could top how bad it was the first time we did it. A man lost his pec, man lost his pride, man lost his mask." Talking about his decision to create a new promotion, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, Scott D'Amore said this on Talk Is Jericho, as Ringside News wrote that during a recent appearance on Talk Is Jericho, Scott discussed the steps he's taking to establish his brand new promotion. D'Amore shared that he has been involved in booking numerous wrestling shows across Canada over the last few years, but now Maple Leaf Pro is his way of making it official. His new promotion plans to kick off with a 2-night event in Windsor, Ontario, promising a rowdy crowd and an impressive lineup of talent. I think, the card we've put together, at least the lineup, I should say, of talent is unbelievable. Scott D'Amore expressed excitement over the stacked card, which includes stars like Josh Alexander, Speedball Mike Bayley, and Konosuke Takeshita, who will be facing Alexander. On the women's side, he has secured Athena, whom D'Amore regards as one of the top women's wrestlers in the industry. We're trying to look around and assemble an amazing group of people who can just celebrate wrestling. Furthermore, Scott D'Amore is also focusing on assembling a top-notch commentary team, bringing in renowned voices Mauro Ranallo and Don Callis, both of whom he had long dreamed of working with. Their commentary, he believes, will provide the perfect soundtrack to what promises to be an exciting new era in professional wrestling. To be able to do that, I just think you've got the greatest soundtrack to what I think is going to be some kick-ass wrestling. As Matt Riddle revealed he has talked to AEW President Tony Khan, this was said regarding him possibly joining the promotion, with Fightful Select reporting that behind the scenes, Tony Khan has not had any interest in bringing Matt Riddle to AEW, especially over the last number of years. When it comes to how WWE head of creative Triple H views AEW's Daniel Garcia, Ringside News wrote that Daniel Garcia has been a hot topic in the wrestling world, especially since his return to AEW at All In, where he reignited his feud with MJF. The subsequent match at All Out kept Garcia in the spotlight, but his future with AEW remains uncertain as his contract is set to expire in October. While AEW is hoping to re-sign Garcia, no deal has been finalized, leading to growing speculation that he may consider leaving the company. Adding to the intrigue, WWE has reportedly shown strong interest in signing Garcia, further complicating the situation. According to Ibu of Wrestle Purist, Triple H sees Garcia as the next great technical wrestler, comparing him to AEW talents like Roderick Strong and Bryan Danielson. Both Triple H and William Regal are said to be high on Garcia's skills and believe he has the potential to be a major star in the wrestling world. Giving an update on the WWE status of Def Rebel, who make music for the company, Corey of PW Nexus said, "We've heard rumblings that Def Rebel will not have their contracts renewed when it ends. We're trying to reach out to figure out when that is exactly and to add more confirmation to this. This is not set as fact yet, and until further confirmation, take it as a grain of salt." This adds to the report by Corey where WWE is looking to utilize more outside artists more and more. Fans have called out AEW for lying about the result of a match from CMLL, with Ringside News writing that AEW posted this video package which claims that Chris Jericho beat Mystico in a 2 out of 3 falls match during CMLL's 91st anniversary show, when in fact Mystico won the match. During the September 14th AEW Collision, Tony Schiavone claimed that Mystico tapped out to the walls of Jericho, but that's not what really happened. In the main event, Mystico actually defeated Chris Jericho 2 falls to 1, winning via submission with the La Mystica. Jericho initially took the first fall with the walls of Jericho, but Mystico tied it up with a frog splash before ultimately submitting Jericho. After the match, Big Bill attacked Mystico, but Orange Cassidy made the save, handing Mystico his sunglasses as the show closed. Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho are in a feud over a $7,000 debt from Cassidy ruining Jericho's jacket. On September 11th, AEW Dynamite, Kyle O'Reilly and Mark Briscoe dumped $7,000 in pennies on Jericho's car, with Cassidy NXT throwing in an extra $1 to make sure Jericho got his money. Elsewhere on the CMLL card, Zeuxis defeated Willow Nightingale to win the CMLL Women's World Championship, ending Nightingale's 69-day reign. That's a nice length for a reign, but AEW certainly saw 2 losses during that event, even though they are claiming Jericho won his match. The fact that AEW aired highlights from the match during Collision this week, and they also got the match results wrong, was noticed by several fans. The company was called out on Reddit's Squared Circle subreddit, but for some reason, the post proclaiming that Jericho won is still up. In some unfortunate news, AEW's Wheeler Yuta revealed he lost his aunt over the All Out weekend, saying this in a digital exclusive for the promotion. Everything and nothing, if that makes sense. Everything because I'm just trying to scramble to figure out why. Why they did what they did, why they didn't tell me, why they did that to Brian. Then nothing, because all I can really think about is those moments where they had that bag over Brian's head, where they were trying to end him. They were trying to make me watch for some reason. John keeps talking about this higher purpose, and I just don't understand it. All I understand is how afraid, how terrified, how concerned, how helpless I was when all that happened. It was a really rough day for me Saturday. Before the show, I found out that my aunt in Japan had passed away. She passed away from complications due to COVID-19, and I just kind of know that in her last moments, she was struggling to find breath, and that's really all I could think about when I watched that happen to Brian. Kumiko, I love you. Rest in peace. But Brian's going to be okay. Brian's going to be alright. He's going to be like no one we've ever seen before. I don't really know where that leaves me. Yeah, just a lot to think about. I'm sorry if you excuse me. I'm going to take some time by myself if that's alright. Going over what's to come for Raw on Netflix and NXT on the CW network, Ringside News wrote that according to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, one of the biggest changes with NXT's move to CW is the strict end time of 9:59 p.m. due to many CW stations running news at 10 p.m. Meltzer explained, "We're told another change in the show with the move on October 1st is that it has to end at 9:59 p.m. because so many of the CW stations have news at 10 p.m., so no more overruns." In addition to the confirmed matches and changes, there are rumors circulating that the Motor City Machine Guns may be making their debut on the October 1st episode of WWE NXT, adding even more excitement to the show. WWE Raw will move to Netflix in January 2025. The move will bring a more flexible runtime to the Monday night show, as well as the inclusion of adverts on the streaming platform. The Raw brand will be moving to a 2-hour show starting on October 7th, a decision that blindsided some internally. For more information regarding AEW's talks with Fox for a new television show, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, the Fox deal is not done. I know a lot of people have been talking about the idea on the Fox network. I do not know, but I would very strongly suspect it will not be on the Fox network. It would probably be another station. You know, whether it's FS1, whether it's a different station, whether it's a streaming component, I don't know. And it's not, and I don't believe it's a done deal either. I think it's something that they're working on, although as far as the Shockwave thing, they did trademark the name of Shockwave, so they have to be pretty darn close to a deal to go and actually go to the length of trademarking the name. Staying on this topic, former WCW president Eric Bischoff said this about AEW being on Fox, noting on his 83 Weeks podcast, "It's not Fox Network. Fox Network is never going to put on AEW, ever, ever, ever. That is not happening. As much fun as it is to talk about, but FS1, Fox Sports, maybe. They have a lot of stuff on Fox Sports 1 that you'll never find anywhere else. It doesn't get much of an audience. I don't think AEW is going to do very well on Fox Sports 1 for a lot of reasons. It's not doing very well on TBS. So to imagine that they're going to somehow create a new show, first of all, creating another show for a company that can't figure out how to produce one is going to be a real challenge. It's just more. They don't have a system down yet. They don't have their feet underneath them yet. So to take on another show on top of what they already have, that they can barely hold an audience for, they had like 168,000 viewers the other night on one of their shows, Friday night or Saturday night. I mean, come on people, you've you've got at some point to put down the Kool-Aid and have a cup of coffee and wake up. It's just silliness. I don't think it's a feather in the cap of wrestling if Fox Sports 1 takes another show which basically has no audience and no production values. It is what it is. They're filling airtime. They're filling schedules with content. That's all Fox Sports 1 really is. Then you've got, talk to Jeff Jarrett about Fox Sports 1. He'll tell you about it. Sounds great. Makes a great press release. Gets people excited, but you can't do anything with it. The show will probably end up, if it follows the same pattern that TNA did with Fox Sports 1 when they were there for a minute. Your schedule is different depending on what part of the country you're in. It's hard to promote that show because it's all over the map, or at least it was back then. I don't know what the situation is now. If it's in a regular primetime spot on a night of the week where it makes sense, maybe it'll find an audience. But if it's going to move around the Fox Sports schedule depending on other sports that are taking place and take priority, it's just going to be a burden that somebody's going to have to produce that isn't going to generate much of an audience. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.